Welcome to the Bounce Media Network. It's your host, the one and only MC, Mr. J Ski, coming to you live and direct. Before we get started, do me a favor, go ahead and turn on that bell notification, like the video, share the video, and most importantly, hype the video if that feature is still available to you. All right, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Jason Whitlock has become a recurring character on my satirical comedy show, Only in the W. All right, I've made jokes about him. I've laughed at some of his ridiculous takes. I've watched him jump from one side of an argument to the other side and then somehow explain to everybody that he wasn't flip-flopping. He was simply becoming more informed after reviewing additional evidence. That's BS. You know it, I know it, and he knows it. All right. Jason Whitlock flip-flops like a professional gymnast. And normally, I'd probably just save this dude for another segment of Only in the W, which is a show you all should be watching, by the way. All right. But then Jason decided to mention somebody I happen to have tremendous amount of respect for within this YouTube space. Okay. Venom of Venom Reacts. All right. Now, I was actually in Venom's live for the Fever versus Wings game when myself and a few others in the chat alerted him that Jason Whitlock had called him out on his show. All right. At the time, he was unaware, but Whitlock was on his radar nonetheless. Well, for Venom, that was the icing on the cake. And if you haven't seen Venom's response to Jason, I tell you right now, Venom doesn't need Bounce Media's assistance regarding this matter. He handled his business himself. Venom is one of the few guys I respect in this community because of his work ethic alone. All right. His breakdowns are legendary. This dude actually watches the games like a sports scientist. All right. He watches possessions. He studies what's happening on the basketball court. And whether you agree with every conclusion he reaches or not, Venom puts in the damn work. So Venom, salute to you, sir. This isn't Mr. J Ski coming to your defense, but Jason Whitlock mentioning you did finally give me the excuse I've been waiting for to actually dedicate an entire episode or show to him. All right. My problem with Jason Whitlock isn't that he criticizes Caitlin Clark. I criticize Caitlin Clark. All right. Anybody who watches this channel knows that. If Caitlin plays poorly, I'll say she played poorly. If she makes a questionable decision, I'll say it was bad or ill-advised. Okay. If Kelsey Mitchell plays great basketball, I'll say Kelsey Mitchell had a great game, because criticism isn't hatred. And giving somebody credit today doesn't mean I'm prohibited from criticizing them tomorrow. That's called analysis. But Jason Whitlock, whichever the way the wind blows, that's where Jason goes. When Caitlin Clark is exhibiting greatness, oh, Jason loves him some Caitlin Clark. She's changing the women's basketball. She's transforming the league. She's phenomenal. Jason Whitlock is sitting in the front car of the CC Express, waving at everybody as the train goes by. But let Caitlin struggle. Let her become injured or get hurt. Let Caitlin look like something less than the superhero everybody expects her to be every single night. And suddenly, where the hell did Jason go? All right. 2 months ago, Caitlin Clark was working her way back from a back injury. She was playing under a minutes restriction. She wasn't completely herself. She was trying to regain her rhythm, trying to regain her conditioning, trying to regain her game. All right. And that's when Jason Whitlock decided it was time to start questioning Caitlin Clark's behavior, her attitude, her interactions with Stephanie White, her supposed immaturity attributed to her on-court behavior. And Jason even went so as far as to tell his audience that Angel Reese had matured more than Caitlin Clark in her third season. Angel freaking Reese. Okay, Jason. And while Caitlin was struggling to get herself completely healthy, guess who Jason Whitlock fell in love with? Kelsey Mitchell. Oh, Kelsey, she's great. Kelsey Mitchell is the MVP of the Indiana Fever. Let me make something perfectly clear before somebody intentionally misunderstands me. Kelsey Mitchell is a great scorer. I've said that repeatedly myself. Even Venom has said that repeatedly. Ben Daniels has said that repeatedly. All right. But being the leading scorer on a basketball team and being the most valuable basketball player on that team are two entirely different conversations, because basketball isn't just who scored the most points. Tell me this. Who creates the best offense? All right. Who runs it? Who generates opportunities to get everybody else involved? Who controls the space? Who sees things developing before anybody else on the floor even realizes that they're happening? Jason, if your entire argument for Kelsey Mitchell being more valuable than Caitlin Clark begins and ends with scoring, then you're proving my point for me. All right. After listening to you talk about this league for the past few months, I have a difficult time believing that you're actually watching these games. All right. I think you're watching the highlights and you're definitely reading the box scores. All right. I don't know what Jason Whitlock actually does when the Indiana Fever are playing. Maybe he's watching, maybe he's not. But I know one thing is for certain. You don't sound like somebody who is actually watching the game. All right. From first quarter to the end of fourth quarter and possibly overtime if that game warrants it. All right. And that is exactly what made this Venom situation interesting to me, because Jason Whitlock decided to go after one of the people who actually does analyze the game. One of the people who studies the possessions, studies the decisions, studies how the players affect one another. All right. And apparently Jason's problem with Venom is that Venom actually has been too critical on Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. Except Venom's response makes something very clear. Criticism isn't hatred. All right. Venom can criticize Kelsey Mitchell and still give Kelsey Mitchell her flowers when she deserves them. He can criticize Aaliyah Boston and still recognize when Aaliyah Boston has a good game. All right. That's what people who actually analyze sports do. But apparently in Jason Whitlock's world, if you criticize somebody today, you're required to hate them forever. Unless, of course, your name is Jason Whitlock, because Jason gets to change his mind every 3 weeks. And that's not flip-flopping? No. Jason has simply received new evidence. Well, Jason, I've got some new evidence for you as well. Caitlin Clark is back. All right. She put her cape back on and she's soaring again. She's making history again. She's running the offense. She's creating for everybody around her. She's filling up the stat sheet. And it seems to me that every week we're sitting here talking about another record, another milestone, another piece of history Caitlin Clark just made. And wouldn't you know it? Guess who's back? Jason Whitlock. Welcome aboard, Jason. We saved your seat. Apparently all that additional evidence finally came in. Except here's the problem. The evidence didn't change. Caitlin got healthy. Jason Whitlock will soon be easing back onto the CC train. And that's my larger problem with this dude. I don't know what Jason Whitlock actually believes. His position seems to change depending upon what Caitlin Clark did last week. When she's dominating, Jason's riding with Caitlin. When she's struggling, Jason starts looking around for somebody else. When Kelsey Mitchell is on a streak, suddenly Kelsey's the MVP of the Indiana Fever. Then Caitlin starts looking like Caitlin again. And somehow Jason discovers some more evidence. Come on, man. At some point, I receive new information, stops being an explanation. At some point, you just keep changing your damn position. It would be one thing if Jason Whitlock presented himself as just another loudmouth sports commentator throwing opinions around on the internet. But that's not how Jason presents himself. Jason Whitlock spends an extraordinary amount of time talking about truth, character, morality, principles, faith, God. He presents himself like he's been anointed to deliver some higher level of truth to everybody else. And Jason, that's where you lose me, man. Because you can't constantly preach about everybody else's principles when every time I turn around, yours have moved. All right. You can't constantly question everybody else's character while your on camera character seems to contradict itself depending upon which direction the conversation is moving. And you damn sure can't wrap yourself in righteousness while seemingly chasing whatever controversy keeps your name circulating online. At least not without, somebody eventually saying, what exactly do you stand for? Because it doesn't change his opinions because of new evidence, all right, or because the evidence changes. Jason Whitlock changes his opinions because the conversation changes. And apparently this week, the conversation needed Venom, all right? You went looking for another creator to talk about. And unfortunately for you, you picked the one who bites back. Venom called you out. Venom explained his positions. Venom defended his analysis. And Venom pointed out something that I've been watching myself for months. Jason Whitlock goes with the win. And that's probably why Venom's response resonated with me. And it probably resonated with you as well. Because I reached that conclusion before I ever even heard him say it. All right. Jason, I've watched you bounce back and forth on Caitlin Clark for months, all right? Basically since preseason, all right? I've watched you fall in love with Kelsey Mitchell when Caitlin wasn't herself. Okay. I've watched you question Caitlin's maturity while she was working her way back from injury. I've listened to you talk about this league with a level of certainty that doesn't remotely match the depth of basketball understanding I'm hearing come out of your mouth. And now you're coming after creators who actually spend their time studying this team or the league, depending on who you listen to. You picked the wrong week, and maybe you picked the wrong snake. All right. I've spent months laughing at Jason Whitlock, but underneath all the jokes has been a serious question. Is any of this actually genuine? There's an old word for somebody willing to abandon what they supposedly believe whenever there's something to be gained by doing it. And Jason, I'm having a difficult time finding a better word or a different word for you. The only thing that comes to mind is sellout. All right. Not because you criticize Caitlin Clark, not because you praise Kelsey Mitchell, not because you disagree with Venom, because disagreement is part of what we do. I'm talking about the constant repositioning, the constant contradictions, the constant certainty followed by another completely different certainty. The moral lectures, the clout chasing, the preaching, the pivoting, and then explaining every damn reversal by telling everybody I've reviewed additional evidence. Give me a break, man. You haven't evolved. You haven't discovered some great new basketball truth every 3 weeks. You're just flip-flopping. And at this point, you're so damn good at it, your ass ought to be in the, you ought to be an Olympic coach. Okay. Jason Whitlock doesn't just flip-flop. He does a full gymnastic floor routine. And unfortunately for Jason, this time he got bitten by Venom. All right. That's it. That's all I got. If you like this video, go ahead and share it. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hype the video if you think it is worthy of being hyped. I'm Mr. J Ski, and this has been another Bounce editorial.